Dude, we just killed 2 of the biggest deer in this bush in 2 days, Corey. If you joined us last week, you experienced the 3-year journey for a very particular bush buck that had dominated my dreams for the past few seasons. At the end of the show, you may have noticed that I referred to this deer as the second giant buck we killed in the past 2 days. How did we do that?
I don't know, man.
We set up and killed 2 monster bucks in 2 days. Our 2 biggest deer ever in 2 days. And the season it's only starting. It's the 8th of November. Well, I wasn't lying. On this week's episode, we're actually going to take a step backwards to a deer that Corey White had been chasing for the past few years as well. This particular buck is one of the largest bush deer we've ever had the privilege to chase, and truly a deer that every whitetail hunter dreams about.
This was kind of a last-minute spot last year during November where I set some trail cameras up and did a little bit of scouting and ended up getting a picture of a giant buck that I was able to hunt for a few days, but wasn't able to give it a good go. I did end up crossing my trail camera about 11:15 the 2 days before I was there, so if I would have been sitting in the tree stand, I would have got him. But I did some December scouting after the season here and found this low spot here where there's a trail that goes all the way through, and there's a little bit of a watering hole there. So I'm going to try and take advantage of this for some early season scouting. It's July right now. I'm going to go slam some trail cameras up and see if we can't get a picture of that guy. Hopefully he lives in this area. If not, we'll have a good look and see what else is in here. Like I said before, I found the spot late in November last year, so we're going to capitalize a little bit earlier this year and see what we can find here. I have to say the mosquitoes are unbearable right now. Alright, let's go.
One thing we often find with these public land bush deer is that just because you can find them in November doesn't mean that's where they live the rest of the year, and trying to locate one particular buck throughout the summer or winter can prove to be a very difficult task. Corey had spent the summer scouting and running cameras throughout this entire area, hoping to see if this buck survived the winter. But without a single picture of him right up until the first week in November, he found himself focusing on other deer in other areas.
It's November 5th. It's our first sit in November. It's really warm out. It's been really warm this last couple of days. We're sitting in a really nice clearing, and there's been a couple bucks that have been coming here, so we're hoping that a nice whitetail comes this morning or early this afternoon. We didn't start off very good. I almost lost my phone. Corey's been miserable, so I'm hoping our luck kind of changes and we see something.
While Corey waited for this buck to show back up on his covert camera this year, he spent the first weekend of the season hunting with Jaden to try and get her very first bush whitetail. She had logged a number of hours in the tree stand over the past 2 seasons and was hoping that this would finally be the year it all came together.
Just a nice little spiker buck, but it's good for us in the morning. A good sign that they're actually moving.
Fatal Impact is proudly sponsored by Top Grade Construction, TX2 Broadheads, Vortex Optics, Covert Scouting Cameras, Poacher's Corner, Phone Scope. This segment of the show has been brought to you by the Municipal District of Bonnyville. Lake adventures happen here. This segment of the show has been brought to you by Covert Scouting Cameras.
With Jaden heading back to work tomorrow, they decided to move some stands midday so Corey would have a new place to hunt for the rest of the week. Corey had some pictures of a couple good bucks in this new area and wanted to spend some time in there to see what it was like. The greatest part about hunting the bush is that you never know what can walk out at any moment. Out of all the bucks we've killed in the bush, we've only had pictures of a few of them. so Corey was just gonna put his time in.
It's November 6th, I think, somewhere in there, early November. So I had the last 2 days with Jaden in the tree stand, and didn't see too much. We seen actually a little small buck twice, but in a real promising spot, but I just don't think the bucks are quite up and moving yet, so relocated to this kind of a valley area here. I'm sitting on top. I find that the bucks are trying to chase the does right along this valley here and into the thick stuff, so a couple scrapes up along here down in the spruce trees and whatnot, so we're gonna post up here. I've got a picture of a real good, like real tall tine, not real wide, but just nice tall heavy deer here, so we're gonna go ahead and hopefully he walks in, get a better look at him and see if he looks decent. I'll take him, but if not, she's kind of a scouting mission at the same time. We're just gonna see what kind of shows up here, so.
Meh.
I don't think you guys can see me, but I'm pretty sure I just smoked the buck that I was after. Oh my God. Oh. He came in, he was chasing 2 does. All I could see was just big, dark chocolate horns. I don't know how big he is. I'm in the bush, I'm self-filming. It's nearly impossible to do this. And that buck come ramping through. I'm pretty sure I just smoked a good deer. I see him go down there. He was coming in, he was grunting. I could hear him grunting. I got the sun coming in this way here. It's on the little screen. I can't see nothing. I'm sitting there, man. I heard him go down, but I could not let that deer pass. That's probably the biggest whitetail I've ever seen. I'm in a brand new spot. Set this tree stand up last night. I let a few grunts out this morning. Had a little buck ripping from behind me.
I'm so happy for you.
I know.
Is it that big 5x5?
It might be, yeah. It's a very good.
That's
yeah, there's a
awesome.
very good chance. Or it's a different deer I've never seen before, but he's wide and tall.
That's the one we set up yesterday?
Yeah, the one tree stand we set up yesterday.
We'll be hunting that this weekend then.
Dana's coming up here. He's gonna bring up another tree stand. But yeah, there's the does in heat here. Her tail's up, and this,
Really?
oh man, it was unreal. Unreal.
I'm so happy for you.
You just wait until you see it, man.
He better be as big as he say he is. I drove a long ways to get here. Otherwise, you're dragging him across that coulee by yourself.
I know, man. I'm about to pack him out yet. There's no way we're getting the quad up here.
No.
Like, he died. The tree stand's there. He died like 60 yards away from it. I killed him at 40. He was so close. Get a load of this thing. Hands down, the most biggest whitetail I've ever shot, easily. Like look, get a load of the character on this thing. Look at this. Big bladed front of the main beams. Check out the mass on that. Sticker off his G3 there. Like look how long that tine is. Look at this. Big blade here. Look at that mass on that thing. Check that out. It's unreal.
That is a monster, dude.
This thing's huge. like I said to you, you watch the footage. I'm sitting there casually just filming some does coming in, and then all of a sudden you can see that one doe had her tail up, and I looked back. She kept looking back, and then all of a sudden this guy comes ripping over the hill. He's grunting away, and I'm not even ready. I got all my stuff there, so I zoomed the camera out, let alone that I'm doing this by myself, self-filming this deer. Get him zoomed out. He runs right into probably, I don't know, I think he was about 40 yards probably, somewhere's in there. And he has locked onto that doe. I made a noise, stopped him, make sure the camera was on him. I had a shooting lane about this much between two trees, and I drilled him. And he ran, what? Like I said, 60 yards from the tree stand probably, and piled up here. And there, folks, I think I finally, it's safe to say, cracked the 160 mark. I think so. This is
Just a big old character bush buck.
It's huge. Look at that thing. But like, look at this. Like, this is what got me here. Like I didn't see any of these extra points and all that stuff when he first came in. Like I mean, I had limited time. When you're hunting bush over scrapes and stuff like that, like you're frame hunting. Like I seen this guy come in, I seen good G3s, like a good wide frame, some mass on him, but I mean he was close. I still didn't have any time to tell us how big he was. So the old 7mm mod 8 with the Vortex razor on it, put him down. But
Fatal Impact is proudly sponsored by Matthews Archery, Deluxe Wall Temps, Victory Archery, Bike Tricks Electronic Bicycles, Top Notch Taxidermy Studio. This segment of Fatal Impact is brought to you by PX2 Broadheads, the toughest, most dependable broadhead on the market today. This segment of Fatal Impact is brought to you by Top Grade Construction in Lloydminster for all of your construction needs.
Within 4 days of being up in the bush this season, Corey had found a brand new spot, set up a stand, and self-filmed our largest buck to date, a mid-170s deer that we had absolutely no idea even existed. The very next day, like you saw on last week's episode, he joined myself in another part of the bush and filmed me harvest the biggest buck of my life. Now here we were, only 7 days into the entire whitetail season, and we had our two biggest bucks to date on the ground. Normally, we'll spend weeks sitting amongst the trees for 9 hours a day, hoping to catch a glimpse of one of our shooter bucks. But this year, they fell right into our laps. Now don't get me wrong, we have spent years learning how to hunt the bush and teaching ourselves what to look for to ensure that we're in the right spot. And I guess things were finally starting to come together for us.
Well, this is the scrape that guy just worked probably 15 minutes ago. He dug the ground up a bit and was breaking his antlers on the trees here, so it was pretty cool to see. And we should have some pictures of him because we have the trail camera on the tree right here, so.
Why are we sitting in this particular spot? Like, what's this time of year, what did the deer do on scrapes? With both Corey and myself tagged out for the year, the girls were the only ones left to hunt and had free reign of the bush to hunt whichever deer they wanted. Luckily for Jaden, the giant buck that Corey had been waiting for finally showed up on his covert camera, and they would be sitting for him until the very end of the season if they had to.
It's our 5th day. We ended up sitting half a day yesterday and weren't seeing very much, so we took half a day, set up a new tree stand. We're sitting kind of by a scrape that we have. There's been a few bucks, one really, really nice one that I'm hoping is going to give us some kind of appearance today. It's going to be pretty nice. We're going to sit here, hold out, and feel pretty hopeful.
Right there.
Oh God, come on. Come on. Come on. Go down right there. Come on.
There you go.
Oh, he's going down right there, you guys. Holy. Is he still running?
It's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Look at him. You got him. You drilled him.
You guys. Oh my goodness.
You just drilled the giant
I
deer.
was just telling Corey, this is not a very good spot, which is ridiculous because we've had so much action here today. We've seen like 5 deer today all together. And I looked up for 2 seconds and all I saw was a big frame coming through and I was like, oh, yes.
You just shot a giant deer.
Oh my goodness.
Fatal Impact is proudly sponsored by Municipal District of Bonnyville, Guardian Plumbing and Heating, 365 Archery, Wapiti River Outdoors, iHunter, Williams Backhoe Services. This segment of Fatal Impact is brought to you by Deluxe Wall Tents, built in Canada for Canadian conditions. This segment of Fatal Impact has been brought to you by Vortex, the force of optics.
Oh, he's right here. Oh my goodness. Corey, look how huge he is.
Huh? What do you think?
Oh my gosh. Corey, look how big he is.
At that deer.
Oh my.
Do you realize what you have there?
Is this a deer? The same deer though?
This is the 100% same deer.
Look at this very first whitetail. He's huge. He's more than anything that I could have imagined of getting my very first one. I was literally just telling Corey that it's been such a slow day and I wish there would be a buck that would just come out already, and he literally came maybe 10 minutes after I talked to Corey. I looked down and I looked back up and there was nothing but frame that came. So I told Corey there's a buck and I had my gun on him and he came out to the opening and it was just a perfect moment. He maybe ran, 30 yards, if that, right behind a spruce tree. Just perfect. Everything about today was perfect.
Nice warm day.
A beautiful day, like super warm. No! I can't do this. I'm just not strong enough.
The 2016 whitetail season was surely a year that we will never top. We killed some of the largest public land whitetail likely taken anywhere in Alberta that year. To be able to follow one specific deer throughout the endless forest of northern Alberta is no easy task, but when it all comes together, it's truly remarkable. And for Jaden, most hunters will spend an entire lifetime just hoping to lay eyes on a buck of that caliber. So to be able to harvest a legitimate Boone and Crockett bush buck as your very first deer, well, I'd say that's pretty special.